Thank you everyone for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and get started briefly with just an overview of what our agenda is for tonight. So Daisy, if you can go ahead and you can cue up the screen for me, that would be great. And again, this webinar tonight is a Q&A session for our Institute of Impacted Leaders program. Thank you everyone for being here. And I see a lot of our outside organizers also joining to support. So you're also going to get a chance to hear from some of our outside organizers who are individuals who have already graduated from the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So again, this is our Institute of Impacted Leaders Q&A webinar. My name is Antoinette Ratcliffe, and I will be your host for this evening. I am the outside organizing manager with Initiate Justice. You will also get to hear from some of our outside organizers featured on our panel tonight. We have Anna, we have Andy, and we have Maria. So thank you everyone for being here. One more quick reminder, this webinar is being recorded, and we also do have live transcription available, and you can follow along on the screen if needed. So I'll jump straight into an overview of what tonight's gonna look like and what our agenda looks like. So on the next slide, what you'll see is an overview of our agenda. So we're gonna start with some introductions. Some of our staff who are here tonight and our organizers are gonna go ahead and introduce ourselves. And then I'm gonna tell you briefly about the Institute of Impacted Leaders. What is it? How do you apply for it? What does it mean when you graduate from the Institute of Impacted Leaders? What will you learn if you decide to join an Institute of Impacted Leaders cohort? I'll go through all of that information with you and answer some frequently asked questions that we generally get when we introduce people to our Institute of Impacted Leaders program. And then we will have a Q&A session with some of our outside organizers. So again, we have Andy, Anna, and Maria with us this evening who are gonna answer some questions that generally come up when people are considering if they want to join our Institute of Impacted Leaders program. And then at about 6:35, we'll go ahead and open the floor up to you all for questions. So I wanted to make sure that I had left ample opportunity for each of you to ask any questions that you might have regarding the program itself, regarding the application process, or any questions that you might want to hear, or any responses you might want to hear from our outside organizers. We'll leave that for you as well, and then we'll close at around 6:55. So starting with introductions, we can go ahead and just allow some of the staff and myself to introduce ourselves. So again, I'll repeat, my name is Antoinette Ratcliffe. I am the outside organizing manager with Initiate Justice. What that means is that I actually manage the Institute of Impacted Leaders program and maintain the involvement and engagement of all of our outside organizers, which are the individuals who have graduated from that program, make sure that they are fully engaged in the work that we're doing, have the tools that they need to continue to advocate for themselves, their loved ones, and for ending mass incarceration and abolishing prisons. And I have with me today a few staff, so I will allow, I know Daisy's here, Adam's here, Taina's here, so I will allow you all to go ahead and introduce yourselves as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daisy. I serve as Initiate Justice Statewide Advocacy Manager. And I actually graduated from the very first cohort of the Institute of Impacted Leaders back in the spring of 2019. So really excited to see new faces here as far as like getting involved with this program. You'll definitely learn a lot by participating in it. And that's actually how I learned all of my policy knowledge through this program.
And I can go next. Thanks, Daisy. This is Taina. I'm the founder and executive director of Initiate Justice. Apologies, y'all, for being off camera. I'm in transit right now. I'll be on camera soon. But yeah, I am the person who started the Institute of Impacted Leaders, and I'm so thrilled that we have Antoinette, who is now so masterfully handling the program. We've graduated 13 cohorts now. and have amazing graduates like Daisy. So yeah, super grateful to still be part of this process, and being able to benefit from Antoinette's leadership. And I'll pass it to Adam.
Thank you, Taina. Thank you, Taina. What up, everyone? How y'all doing? Good evening. Good evening. My name is Adam Kane. I'm the Inside Program Associate at Initiate Justice, formerly incarcerated. Started off as a volunteer, became an IO, which is an inside organizer. Then I went to do the cohort. Shout out to Graham, my facilitator, who trained me, and to become an outside organizer, now staff. And with that, I will pass it to Ephraim.
Hey, y'all, welcome here. My name is Efrain Ortiz, pronouns he, him, his, and I am the Inside Program Associate with Initiate Justice. I co-lead the Inside Membership Program with Crystal, my co-worker Crystal, and we, a big part of our committee is responding to mail. I actually am a graduate, formerly incarcerated. I'm a graduate of the San Fernando Valley cohort, and was lucky enough to be facilitated by Taina, our executive director, and Crystal. So I learned so much from this institute. I know we got a treat for you guys today, and you guys will not be disappointed. With that, I will pass it to Michelle. Or Antoinette, I don't know if you want to take it away.
No worries. Michelle might just be listening in with us tonight. Michelle assists really all of our departments, and she's on our comms team, so we'll allow her. You'll get familiar with Michelle as you stay involved with Initiate Justice. Oh, she's driving. Okay, no worries, Michelle. Thank you. I will actually pass it on to Graham, my co-facilitator previously, and my co-facilitator again this spring for the Los Angeles cohort.
Hey everyone, my name is Graham. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I co-facilitated with Antoinette. And I went through the second cohort in LA with Antoinette. We co-facilitated in IE together. I then co-facilitated with Seraphine in Orange County, and recently in San Jose with Miss Yolanda. And I'm happy to be doing this again. I'm happy to see you all here.
Thank you, Graham. And then we have several outside organizers also on the call. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves in the chat so that everyone knows who you are, if they have like specific questions for you or anything, they know who you are. So if you all want to put in the chat, if you are an outside organizer, your name and what cohort you graduated from. But I do want to give three particular outside organizers who are going to be on our panel a moment here just to introduce themselves, their name, their pronouns, and the cohort that they graduated from. So Andy, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Andy, he, him. I graduated from, I guess, the first one, San Diego cohort.
Yes,
and with
thank
that,
you,
I'll pass it
Andy.
to
And I
Abby.
also, thank you.
Hello, Ana, she, her, hers, ella, and I recently graduated from the Santa Barbara cohort.
Thank you, Anna. And Maria.
Hi, my name is Mireya, and I am an outside organizer, graduate of the OC cohort, and board member for IJ.
Yes, thank you so much. So that's some of our team, not all of our team, because we have over 230 outside organizers. We have several staff members, but something that I do just want to uplift and highlight here is that I myself graduated from the second Los Angeles cohort of the Institute of Impacted Leaders, and many of our Initiate Justice staff are actually graduates of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So we're talking about this, but what does that mean? I'll go ahead and jump into it. So a little bit about Initiate Justice and what is the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So Initiate Justice was initially founded about a little over 5 years ago with the mission to end mass incarceration by activating the political power of those who are directly impacted by it. So how Initiate Justice uses an inside-outside organizing strategy, meaning that we prioritize providing tools, training, resources, and empowerment to those who are directly impacted both inside California state prisons and who are currently incarcerated throughout various facilities in California, and also to those on the outside, loved ones who are supporting people incarcerated and people themselves who are formerly incarcerated on the outside, providing them with the tools, the knowledge, and the training that they need in order to advocate for themselves, advocate for their loved ones, and ultimately advocate for statewide policy change and systemic change here in the state of California. So the Institute of Impacted Leaders, so Initiate Justice, we accomplish our policy change and empower impacted people both inside and outside through various methods. We have various committees that do this work. We have various programs. We have journals that go inside, tons of things that we do. But tonight, what we are focusing on is our Institute of Impacted Leaders, which is one way by which we educate directly impacted people on the outside of their political power and train directly impacted people on the outside how to be effective in advocating and organizing for themselves, for their loved ones, and for systemic change. So the Institute of Impacted Leaders, we can go ahead and go to the next slide, Daisy. The Institute of Impacted Leaders is an advocacy and organizing training program that is designed and facilitated by people who are directly impacted by incarceration, and it's exclusively for people who are directly impacted by incarceration. And when we say directly impacted, that means if you yourself have been formerly incarcerated or convicted, that means if you are supporting a loved one who is currently incarcerated, or if you are supporting a loved one who is formerly incarcerated. We are all impacted by the various harms of this system, and that is who this training was created for, to empower and educate us of our power in order to advocate for policy change for ourselves and ultimately for freedom of all people. And so since being established, and Taina mentioned it earlier, but since being established in 2019, we have graduated 13 cohorts of the Institute of Impacted Leaders in 12 different regions of California. So now coming up this year, we'll be graduating 3 more, and that'll put us at 16 cohorts graduated throughout the state of California, and we are not stopping. So we're grateful to have each and every one of you here to learn about the program and potentially be a participant in one of our upcoming Institute of Impacted Leaders cohorts. And when we say a cohort, because I know I'm going to use that term a lot, we're just talking about a group of people who graduate together. So generally they're within the same region, within the same area, but when we say cohort, that's just a group of people who graduated together, and our cohorts are labeled by location because we are regionally bound. And that brings me directly to my next point real quick, is that yes, our Institute of Impacted Leaders cohorts are regionally bound, meaning that all participants in one specific cohort will typically reside within the same county-wide area or constituency. And we do that to ensure that people are connecting with and learning with their local peers, that they will eventually work to organize within their communities and also use their power to influence and build relationships with the same state representatives, which you'll learn all about if you join the Institute of Impacted Leaders, and you can also learn about by staying engaged with Initiate Justice and various of our committees. So the Institute of Impacted Leaders curriculum, what do we cover in those 12 weeks? We focus on the essentials of community organizing, statewide policy advocacy, and knowing and advocating for our own rights. So in the first 4 weeks, what the curriculum focuses on is how we organize from an intersectional and abolitionist lens, and how do we strategically organize and mobilize people in our community to achieve a common or a shared goal. And in the second part of our curriculum. So the next 4 weeks, we spend those 4 weeks introducing you to the California State Legislature. That means we talk about how the legislature is set up and what are its functions. We talk about how a bill becomes a law in the state of California. And then we identify and help you understand where and how you can show up and make your voices heard in that process, and how you can be effective overall in advocating for laws that impact you. And then we spend the last part of our curriculum talking about some of the direct ways that we as impacted people can ensure that we're aware of our rights and how we can advocate for fair and humane treatment, and that we actually are receiving our rights. And so we talk about what that looks like when it comes to visiting a state prison, what that looks like when it comes to navigating the reentry process, or like reestablishing yourself after incarceration, and then also how you can use the law and the changes in the legislation to actually fight for the freedom of your loved ones who are still incarcerated and behind bars here in the state of California. So that's what you'll learn. That's a breakdown of the curriculum. Again, it's 12 weeks, it's tons of useful information. A lot of the curriculum is transferable, meaning those skills apply beyond just ending mass incarceration. They can apply to various areas of policy change and also various areas of community organizing. This is just specifically what we focus on. And then in the next slide, I'll just go over some of the frequently asked questions. So we know what the Institute of Impacted Leaders is. We know what you'll learn if you join the Institute of Impacted Leaders. But what are the requirements? Who can join? So again, like I mentioned earlier, this space was created exclusively for those who are directly impacted by incarceration. So that is one of the requirements to be in the Institute of Impacted Leaders. It's that you are directly impacted, meaning you are either formerly incarcerated or you have a loved one who is incarcerated or has been incarcerated. And then the only other requirement that we ask is that you're actually interested in advocating for the freedom of all people. So we are an abolitionist organization, and that means we seek to end punitive justice measures against all people. We don't believe in fighting for the freedom of some at the expense of others. So we do ask that you are truly committed to ending mass incarceration and seeking freedom for all. And then you should also live in the area or region where we are hosting the cohort. Like we said previously, the cohorts are based upon location. So if you meet those requirements and you are interested in applying, what does that look like? We have a two-step application process, essentially, meaning you would first complete our, in this case, our spring 2022 interest form, which we're going to be releasing on Monday. And then you would attend the required info session. That's going to be in February 24th, actually, and you'll find that information on the application itself. But so that's a two-step process. You complete that, and then you have to attend the info session where there will be a second form that we will need you to complete, as long as you are able to agree to all of the conditions of the program itself. And we'll talk a little bit more of that in the next slide. But two steps. One, complete that first interest form that we will be releasing on Monday, and then you will have to attend the info session. So this upcoming cohort is for Los Angeles, but the process itself, this two-step application process, applies for whatever cohort that you join, whether it's now in the spring or later in the summer, where we will be returning to two other areas of California. So then that brings the question of, well, if I don't live in the area, what do I do? Can I still apply? So we only accept and prioritize those who live within the region or near the region where we're hosting the current cohort, or like last year when we had 4 at a time, if you're in one of those regions. However, If you don't live in that area, you can still fill out our general interest form, which I can plug into the chat. But we have our general interest form, which is where many of you, I think, received notification about this particular event tonight. And we'll let you know when we have upcoming cohorts in other areas. We do let everyone know when we have an upcoming cohort in a different area, regardless of what the address is that you put on that general interest form, because say you've moved between when you filled out that form, some people filled it out at the end of last year, and when we launch our next set of cohorts, which is in summer. If you moved since then, and maybe you are now in the location where we're hosting it, we want to give you the opportunity to do so. So if you're not in the area, then we still want you to let us know that you're interested. That way we can let you know when we do have a program in your local area. And so that link to let us know that you're interested is tinyurl.com/impacted-leaders. And I can plug that into the chat. So if you are not in Los Angeles, and if you have not filled out our interest form to let us know that you are interested in this program, then make sure that you fill that form out as soon as you get the chance to do so. And a couple of other questions that come up, and then we will hear from some of our outside organizers. Okay, so a couple of other questions that come up are, how are the trainings held, where are they held, and how often? So over the course of the 12 weeks, we hold the trainings currently by Zoom. They happen once a week, and they are 2.5 hours long. So generally from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. And for the upcoming LA cohort, those classes are going to be on Thursday nights. So where? On Zoom, when? Once a week in the evening. And how long? It's 2.5 hours long, but it's engaging. We have discussions, we have activities, and we have breakout rooms, and give you the opportunity to practice the material with other participants. So the 2.5 hours goes by quick. And then another question that comes up is, what are the requirements to graduate? And what happens after I complete the program? So this is a very robust question, because a lot happens after you graduate, but I can address it just a little bit in simple terms right now. So in order to graduate, your attendance each week is required. We do need you to be present. We do ask that participants are generally present with their video on and actually engaged in the training. So your attendance is a requirement. And then we also need you to participate in a practical activity. And this is just really utilizing the knowledge that we're sharing with you. And it's after we've covered all of the details of the California State Legislature, we then invite you to participate in our virtual town hall. If for any reason the schedule of our virtual town hall doesn't work with you, you can also complete an in-district visit with one of your representatives. And again, we give you all of the information and tools that you need in order to do this, in order to set this up, in order to attend the virtual town hall and be confident and speak to those representatives. But also, if you're unable to make it, you'll have all the tools you need in order to set up your own visit with your representative. And so upon fulfilling those requirements, you are recognized for your accomplishment. So we do hold a graduation ceremony for you. And actually the picture on your left is from a graduation ceremony, our Orange County, where we actually had Assembly Member Cork Silva attend and give recognition to those graduates. And so you will have an actual graduation ceremony. You'll receive certificates of recognition. Those who successfully complete the program do get a $500 stipend from Initiate Justice, and you become an official outside organizer with the organization. What does it mean to be an outside organizer? So that just means that you are of the first selected and informed about opportunities that come up in our network and with Initiate Justice. So whether that's job openings with Initiate Justice or with other organizations within our network, leadership roles within the community. We send out opportunities that are circulated throughout our network that consist of job opportunities, fellowships, additional internships, and learning opportunities. Participating in research, speaking engagement in panels, resources such as additional trainings, whether it's around advocacy, around storytelling. We even recently shared one that was around data-driven work. Also, some of our network reach out regarding stipends that they have available for directly impacted people and support that they have to offer to directly impacted people. So you become a part of a community that can connect you with tons of resources and opportunities. But most importantly, you are looked at and relied upon as a leader in this work and in this movement to end mass incarceration and abolish prisons. So that was a lot. And there will be tons of time for questions. If you have any questions now, you can share them in the chat. Daisy, you can stop sharing the screen. We're gonna go ahead and hear from our outside organizers, our panelists. So real quick, I just wanna take a breather and allow people, if you have any questions on that, please, please, please put them in the chat so that you don't forget them. I know that was a lot of information, but we do encourage you to share that in the chat. That way we can address those questions during the Q&A segment. And then also going to plug into the chat our website that has additional information about the Institute of Impacted Leaders. Here you can find basically a summary of everything I just told you. You can also find a downloadable PDF or a flyer of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So same thing, a summary of everything I just said, but in a printable like flyer format for you to read, review, and look at. And then you'll also find the forms. So the interest form that I mentioned will be on there. The one for Mondays, not on there yet, but it will be once we release the Los Angeles application on Monday. So feel free to browse that. But I do want to take the time to give Anna, Andy, and Maria an opportunity to share and address some of the other questions that do come up when we're considering the Institute of Impacted Leaders, because I'm pretty sure that hearing it from other individuals will be more inspiring than hearing it from myself, because I am extremely biased towards the Institute of Impacted Leaders. It is how I discovered Initiate Justice. It is how I began to truly live out my purpose in life. And so I will say all only good things about the Institute of Impacted Leaders all of the time. It is near and dear to my heart. But I want to give you the chance to hear from some people who just recently graduated from the Institute of Impacted Leaders about their experience, what drove them to do it, and what allowed them to continue through the program for those 12 weeks. So, hi, Anna, Medea, and Andy. I know you all had the opportunity to share what cohort you graduated from and your names. But now I want you to share just a little bit more about your experiences. So first and foremost, a lot of times when people are considering committing to a program like this, there are many concerns that come up and reservations that people might have, such as how am I going to stay engaged in and retain 12 weeks of learning material? So what are some ways that you have managed to connect to and retain the learning material throughout your 12 weeks? And I know, Maria, you would like to share on this.
It genuinely flies by, like it was mentioned in the chat. The 12 weeks don't feel like 12 weeks. In addition to that, the way that it's facilitated is it's not formal to where you feel like you're in a class and just listening or being dictated to. It's very interactive. So you're able to share, you're connecting. It's a time and a space where you are absorbing because you can relate. You're with like-minded people. You're all working towards the same mutual goal. So it never feels like you're in a classroom and you are just learning and taking notes. The material is presented early, so you have plenty of time to kind of know and feel what it is that you're going to be talking about that day. So it never feels that way. The way that it's presented, you build a special bond with the people in your class or in your cohort. So it never feels like 2.5 hours of classroom time, but genuinely feels like you're in a space, just like a lot of our other meetings or any other IJ events that you may attend. You feel that same bond when it allows you the time to be able to build that relationship. So the 2.5 hours in the 12 weeks and being able to absorb the material, it's very personal. So it does not feel like you have to take notes and study that, as opposed to you just going through a new experience with people that you learn to care about and grow close to. It's not anything that you're going to have to study for hours on end in order to feel like you can relate or absorb the information. That was my experience. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Andy.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned something, Maria, that Andy also would like to touch on, which was like you have a preview of the information. So Andy, did you want to talk a little bit about like what that experience was like and how it helped you maintain?
So me having a preview of everything that was going on, because sometimes I can't pay attention for too long. I used to watch YouTube videos on it. And also they have a podcast where Initiate Justice talks about some of the subjects and the things that interest us. So it even gave me more passion to want to be there in the 2 hours. And those 2 hours and a half at first, it sounds a lot, but it's almost like a tease because you want so much more. And even though it's nighttime, you like fully energized and engaged, and you just want to continue the conversations. And it provoked me to keep my conversations with my loved ones and other people that challenge my way of thinking of a world without prisons. With that, I'll pass it on to Anna.
Thank you, Andy. And I know Anna actually wants to speak to one of the other questions that we have this evening. But thank you so much, Andy and Maria, for sharing that. So, and also I'll say organizers who are on this call as well, if you want to share in the chat, like for you, what helped you stay engaged and connected to the material throughout 2.5 hours a week and for 12 weeks? If you have any perspective on that, please feel free to drop your feedback in the chat as well. I think people would like to hear several perspectives on that. So the next question that comes up is like, what part of the curriculum is the best part? And we all have our own responses to this, but I want to give you all an opportunity to speak to like what area of the curriculum impacted you the most, and how are you utilizing that now, like to advocate for yourself, for your loved ones, or like in your community. And so I know both Maria and Andy, y'all wanted to speak to this one too.
For me, it was community organizing. Community organizing was mind-blowing for me to be able to go through the cohort and understand what an impact I can make, one person, one idea, one mission. And I never thought or imagined that I would be able to learn the skills to feel confident enough to be able to use that. And not only that, but not just here, but use it and as a resource in everything that I do, to know that I have a voice, to know that the knowledge that I learned within these 12 weeks was enough for me to feel confident to talk to people I never imagined I would be talking to, whether it be state representatives, local representatives, to be able to use my voice. And now I'm able to carry that with me through the other committees that I'm also involved in here, as well as outside of IJ. I know that some people do have community networks that they work with, and not just IJ, and being able to utilize those skills outside of this was amazing to me, to know that I had the power, and within those 12 weeks, it gave me enough, not just to touch on, but enough confidence, practice, to be able to use that and share that outside of the 2.5 hours or the cohort, the confidence that the facilitators as well as other staff when they joined in was able to instill in us was my favorite part of the curriculum, to be able to learn that and know that it was enough to be able to take outside.
With me, it was two things. The class on I can't even pronounce this word. Can somebody help me? I know one of y'all can guess what I'm trying to say.
Intersectionality. Yeah, no, we got you. Intersectionality.
Yes, that was one of the most powerful classes because it helped us look at each other's different, but it also helped us concentrate on what we have similar. It's almost like respecting everyone's difference and not being judgmental about their different, but also understand why they might see something different that you might not see, and how does it affect them. Another part was meeting the councilwomen, the assemblywomen, because now after engaging with them and IJ, I was able to see their humanity, and I was also able to see their fears and their reason, and how sometimes maybe they can't picture a world without prison, but it's almost like they also know that prison is not keeping them safe, it's not doing what it's supposed to be basically promising to be doing. So it also opened the door for me to be able to reach out to them, because before I will not reach out to them because I thought they didn't want to hear nothing. They're just politicians, but you get to see the humanity in them. And that was the thing that still motivate me, and I'm still in contact with my council, with my assemblywoman.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Medea. And we have another question, and that next question is, what inspired you to join the Institute of Impacted Leaders, and what impact has it had on you and your loved one and your journey to freedom? And I know specifically, Anna, you felt compelled to speak to this one, so I want to give you a chance to share as well.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody for being here and spending this time with us. So what initially inspired me was actually Diana. She went to UCSB with me, and seeing just her passion with Initiate Justice, and then her sister Crystal, and how much work that they were putting in. It just, yes, Michelle provided me just the opportunity to see this is something that I want to be a part of. It's something that it's not for my resume. It's not for experience. It's specifically a space where I can be in community, and then also with like-minded people. And so I just really appreciated their passion, and also seeing how I could be like them, they inspired me. They were my role models. And so I wanted that as well. And I wanted a space where I could feel welcome. And so because of that process, I joined the Institute here in Santa Barbara. It was the first one here. And I just learned so much. I was able to grow my community. My husband is currently serving a 10-year sentence. And he actually is a part of Initiate Justice Inside. And so he already had knowledge about Initiate Justice. So when I told him that I was doing this, he's like, wow, they sent me these newsletters. And he was so excited for me. And so it was something that we were able to connect with together. And I have been able to reach out to my Initiate Justice family for support now that he, coming home soon. So it's just so amazing, seeing everything full circle, and seeing how we can reach out to one another. If I don't have the answers, I can say hey, Daisy, can you help me with this? I need help going over my storytelling, which you'll learn in the Institute, or I need help, or going to the healing circles, and just being a part of it. it's so beautiful and so needed, and like a place where like you all get me, you know, every single one of you like are here because you get me, and like, and I get you, and like, and I really hope that each one of you actually goes into the Institute, because you will not regret it. And I still have my binder right here, right next to me. And so I reference it all the time. And I know you all will be doing the same as well.
Thank you, Anna. And real quick, I wanted to see if Andy or Medea wanted to address that one as well. And then we'll jump into questions from the audience.
I will address it because when I came out of prison, I'm sister impacted. Basically, I grew up in prison. And when I came out in prison, I got the knowledge of how this system was set up against me, how from a young age, when that teacher told me at 8 years old that all I was going to do was end up dead or in prison, that I was already being set up. And I had a passion to, I knew that I wanted to see a world without prison. But initiated justice gave me a family, a place to belong. It's almost like my dream is not only my dream, but it's my family. And it's almost, I feel the warmth every time I step into this place. And anytime that I feel overwhelmed with even other things in life, I could reach out to somebody in here. It's almost like when words that people use, like they're colorblind. I could speak to somebody in IJ and tell them how it felt, how they, even though they had a kind heart about the word that they use, I could speak to somebody in the IJ and let them know, hey, this still offends me because if they don't see color, they don't see me. And I was one that was never seen before. So it's almost like a place where I could empty out and they will understand. And even if they don't understand, the compassion is still there.
Oh, that's powerful. That's really powerful, Andy. Thank you so much for sharing that. And everyone, thank you so much for sharing. And there's tons of engagement in the chat as well, just acknowledging your experiences, agreeing with your experiences. So I just want to uplift some of those sentiments shared in the chat as well. So I do want to give some time for questions from everyone else that's here. So if you're on the call and you're still kind of a little unclear about anything that we shared, or if you have any other questions that you want us to address, or you want some of our outside organizers to address and help clarify or put into perspective for you, please go ahead and either drop them in the chat or raise your hand, or unmute yourself, and we can go ahead and address some of those questions. What I will do is acknowledge one that came through the chat a little bit earlier from Melissa. Melissa asked if her and her husband can go through the Institute of Impacted Leaders together. And Melissa, I don't know if you've seen, Daisy had a follow-up question for you in the chat on that. I'm wondering if your husband is currently incarcerated or if he's home now, because that will impact like how you can go through the process together. So if he's home now, yes, you can both apply for the Institute of Impacted Leaders. We have Manny and Christy are two of our graduates from the Inland Empire cohort who went through the Institute of Impacted Leaders together, but that is an option. But if your loved one is still incarcerated, if your husband's in prison, then he can actually go through our Inside organizing program, which is a correspondence curriculum based. Okay, he's okay. Well, welcome home. He's coming home soon. So yes, you can. You and your husband can go through the Institute of Impacted Leaders together here on the outside, and that would be extremely powerful. So I highly, highly recommend that you both complete the application. And so that way we can allow you to experience that, because there is a huge transformative power in being in space both as someone who supports a loved one and then someone who has been incarcerated. And we experience that dynamic in a few of our cohorts now, and how there is so much to learn from one another, and how you receive the information, how you're impacted, and your experiences that you may not have already shared with one another that come to light and that begin to become important as you go through the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So definitely encourage you to both go through it together. Were there any other questions? And a lot of love for you in the chat, for you and your husband as well, Melissa. And then something else that I wanted to clarify too is also, because I know I went really fast. I'm a bit confused about how we get the application. Yes, and that's exactly what I was going to touch on, because I know I went really fast through like the application process. So there's only one way to get the application, and that's online. But we have a general interest form that is just to let us know, hey, when the application releases, I want to know that it's out because I want to apply. When there's a cohort in my area, I want you to let me know. And that's our interest form that is currently available. So Melissa, if you haven't completed that one, then I don't know where you both are located. And if you're in LA, then you can actually use the next form that I'm going to share, which opens up on Monday. So this is the general interest form that I just plugged into the chat. And on it, it says general interest form. Let us know that you're interested. And then when we actually open up cohorts, we have location-specific forms that are saying, hey, I'm in Los Angeles. I want to apply for the Institute of Impacted Leaders. And it has a few more elaborate questions than that general form has. So that one doesn't release until Monday for Los Angeles. And that's going to be at a different link. So that one will be at this link as of Monday. So right now it says this form is not accepting any response, because it's not, because it opens up on Monday. So this one that says tinyurl.com/impactedleadersla, that is the actual application or interest form for the Los Angeles Spring 2022 cohort that is coming up in March. And that one is, again, it's open as of Monday the 24th, and it closes on February the 18th. So you have about 4 weeks to complete the application. And then the actual Institute of Impacted Leaders Los Angeles starts in March. So a general interest form and then an actual formal one for the specific location. So when can we expect to know where the other two cohorts are going to be held? So this year, we have agreed to return to locations that we've already visited. And so when we release our summer 2022 applications, that's when you'll know those locations that we'll be going back to later this year. But we are going to be returning to two areas that we've already visited. So somewhere in the Inland Empire region and somewhere in the Bay Area, we're going back to later this year in the summer. And then let's see, another question. That's a great question, Emiliano, is when will we know if we are chosen to join a cohort? So since applications close on February 18th, we will then invite those who applied to an info session. So remember, I mentioned it's a two-step process. So first you complete this Spring 2022 LA interest form. Once that closes in February, we will then invite you to an info session. Coming to the info session is a requirement to be accepted into the cohort. So you come to the info session. That's going to be on February 24th. And then you submit an official Institute of Impacted Leaders application. So again, it's a two-step process. There's this form, there's the actual info session, and during that info session, before you leave, you submit the official application, and we select from those individuals who is going to be invited to the actual cohort. And that announcement will be made by March. Are there any other questions or anything that I missed in the chat? I see one that just, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that don't let like lack of knowledge of the system and everything keep you from submitting your application or feeling like, you know what, I don't have as much experience, like I don't have knowledge, I don't have the college or anything. Don't let that, because just by being here, you're already like there. You already meet the qualifications because you're here, because you're passionate, and because you want to help and you want to learn. So that right there, there's your qualifications met, you know, and then from there, like you'll see the application and meet everything else and like be able to express why you want to be here. But I always like to elevate that, because I know when I first started this journey, I would feel like I'm not as smart as other people, or I'm not as knowledgeable, or, you know, or whatever it was, but that's just like our negative thinking. But I have met so many beautiful people, so many beautiful families, that just their passion and their drive to help and inspire their families is what got them to where they are. And they have really become like amazing change makers in the system. And I am very privileged and honored to know every single one of them.
That's a very important point, Anna, and thank you so much for uplifting that. But yeah, we learn, and even myself as a facilitator, I learn every single time that I facilitate a cohort from the participants there. Learn something new about the impact and like the extent of the system, learn something new about another organization or another aspect of this movement to end mass incarceration. We are all learning together. And each year we make some changes, improve the Institute of Impacted Leaders based upon things that we learned from each of you who actually attend the program. So yes, I just want to echo everything that Anna just so eloquently shared with you all. And there's a couple of other questions in the chat. One that I'm actually gonna like tap on Adam or Efrain or Crystal to address, asking if all prisons have this program. So this program, the Institute of Impacted Leaders, is on the outside, but we do have inside organizing and a curriculum that goes inside that can also be achieved from any prison. So Adam, do you want to address that question real quick about the inside organizing curriculum and who can access it and become an inside organizer?
Yes, I can briefly share. First, we know that they have to, loved ones have to be a member, right? So definitely encourage them to sign up to become a member. In addition, we wanted to become an inside organizer. All they would have to do is just pretty much send their name, submit their name to us, and we will be able to send them a curriculum and send them the materials and different things that they need to learn how to inside organize. And they will have, it's similar to the cohort, a 12-week program, of course, at their time, at their leisure, because we know, prison is very, very different when it comes to time. So that's pretty much how our program runs. For the sake of time, I'm being real quick, but if you have any questions, you can email me at adam@initiatejustice.org, and I will be glad to give you more insight on what you would like to know as far as inside organizing.
Thank you so much, Adam. And Daisy just dropped that in the chat. So yes, like I said, Initiate Justice, we have tons of different programs and methods by which we achieve policy change, by which we empower those who are directly impacted. Inside organizing is one. Outside organizing is another. Definitely connect with Adam if you have a loved one who is currently incarcerated and wants to get involved and be empowered and be able to advocate for themselves. I do want to take a minute just to share a couple of links for you all and how you can stay in like what are the next steps from here. So Daisy, if you can share that last slide of the PowerPoint for me, please, that would be greatly appreciated. But like, what are the next steps? What happens after this? And so first and foremost, we just highly encourage you all to stay connected with us on our social media platforms. And you can find us at Initiate Justice on all social media platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and forgive me if I'm missing any of the platforms, but you can find us at Initiate Justice where we do share out these announcements. We will be announcing, the application release on Monday with the link to remind you. So if you follow us and you turn on those notifications, then you will be able to stay updated regarding our work. And if you are in LA, if you live in LA, and after hearing everything this evening, you do know, because we know, but if you do know that the Institute of Impacted Leaders is a space for you and you do want to apply, you will go to tinyurl.com/impactedleadersla on Monday, that's this Monday the 24th, and that application will be open for you to submit your interest for the spring 2022 Los Angeles cohort of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. That's going to be facilitated by myself and Graham, who is here on the call. So I'm super excited to meet you all. And what if you're not in LA? So if you are not in LA, we still want you to let us know that you're interested. So if you haven't completed our general interest form, then go to tinyurl.com/impactedleaders, and you can fill out our general interest form, just letting us know where you are and that you're interested. And this is also the data that we use to decide where we're going next. So definitely let us know. And also, if you have any questions, anything that comes up, if you're sitting and pondering on it and something comes to mind that you weren't able to ask tonight, you can email me directly, Antoinette@initiatejustice.org. And again, I do manage the Institute of Impacted Leaders. If you forget my email and you email info@Initiate Justice, you'll still hear back from me because I'll make sure that all of your questions get answered. If you don't know if you filled out the interest form or something happened when you were submitting it, anything related to the Institute of Impacted Leaders, please feel free to email me with any questions that you have. But I do highly encourage you all to apply. And if you're here tonight and you're an ally, and maybe you're not directly impacted, or maybe you're not even in the state of California. So like we focus on statewide legislation because California has historically been the most incarcerated state in the United States. But if you're not in the state of California, or you're an ally and you still want to stay involved and you still want to stay connected, there are tons of ways for you to do that. And you can become a member with Initiate Justice. We welcome all of you. And I just put that link into the chat. And you can also let us know if you're interested in one of our committees there. We have tons of different committees that make sure this work gets accomplished. So if you want to join Initiate Justice, you can join as a member. Even if you're not directly impacted or you're not in California, we still do appreciate your support. You can also come to our monthly member meetings where we all get together, all of our committees, all of our organizers, members, allies who are available, and we talk about some updates, what current projects we're working on, how you can be involved, where you can volunteer, and you'll be able to connect with all of us. So please, please, please stay engaged. And yes, I see another question came through the chat. There's no fee to apply. We provide all materials free of charge. The curriculum, the resource guide, everything we provide you is free of charge. We actually give you a $500 stipend upon completion, successful completion of the cohort, really encouraging and offsetting any barriers or costs that might come up for you to attend, whether that's like childcare or who knows, Wi-Fi, I don't know, whatever it might be. So you do have that stipend to look forward to upon your successful completion. Yeah, and free IJ gear. You get shirts and stickers and buttons and all this stuff. And then I also just wanted to share, like, again, if you're here and you're an ally, we do appreciate like any donations to help support and continue to be able to do this work. So if you're not directly impacted, or if you just so compelled, or you're an ally, we do appreciate. Again, we provide this training completely free of charge for our impacted community. But yes, please stay connected with us. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for being interested in the Institute of Impacted Leaders. But yeah, if there aren't any more questions or anything of that nature, then I'll just say good night and thank you again for being here. And look out for those applications on Monday. Go to that link and apply. We want to see you, we want to build with you, and we want to connect with you.